I thought, since we were sort of on the subject here, one of the advantages of being in an analog state of consciousness, if you will, in an avatar, just cannot be underscored. And I say this for a lot of different reasons that I could talk about forever. Um, but it's your ability to adapt to the environment. And if you will, when you're running a high-speed waveform, when you're in a love vibration, which is a timeless state, you're not living in the past, the future's not here yet, it's like running on no memory. You're just experiencing high-frequency energy that feels so good to experience, which means you're not held captive by anything that's in the unconscious mind, the unconscious memory. Okay? And when you're in that state, you realize how beautiful the energy is to experience, how free you actually are, which means your mind is for me, it's like going into a dream state of my imagination, which is creative imagination, right? And when you've been able to experience that, that becomes a frame of reference of how beautiful it is to experience how free you actually are, how powerful your mind actually is in living spirit to do that. So you realize the speed of the waveform that you're experiencing really is what frees us, okay? So I thought when I was thinking about challenge, and just to provide some examples in my own life of how I know this is true. So I mentioned before about going from, because everything was provided for me as a child growing up because my father had a good paying job and my mother came from a very wealthy family, even though she was an adopted child whose grandfather, which would be my grandfather, but not on the blood side, on the adopted side, who actually was chairman of the board of Simpson, Spence and Young. And if you know who Wallace Simpson is, that was King Edward. Okay, King Edward was married to Wallace Simpson, homosexual. Okay, put that all together, right? So my grandfather, because of that, my mother, I never had to worry about clothes and all the rest of that, right? Even though I'm giving everything away, and my mother's going nuts. Why are you doing this? Okay, that gets into density, right? Okay, because I don't like density. I'm not the matter. These things don't matter to me. I'm trying to free myself of all this density because I know that I'm from another realm. I'm from a place that doesn't hold anything captive. You don't understand, Mom. I'm in the wrong dimension. And that's how it is. It's very challenging for a mother to understand why a child from another dimension is acting this way, if you will. But I think of myself as source, which means infinite light, which is infinite creative imagination, which is infinite love that we give to others because our vibrational rate of speed is running off the charts. Like my dad used to call me a Mexican jumping bean. Where's this child getting all this energy? Plug into this little kid, right? Okay. So that becomes a self-knowledge. You know who you are. Man, I love this energy. Are you kidding me? And I still have that energy. That same spirit I was as a little kid is still in me. Okay? It's infinite. You're the spirit, okay, that is in the physical body. So when you sort of know these things, they can't fool you with all their bullshit, okay? You know what you are. Okay? So when I realize that I don't need all these things, what happens is your memory, this is what's really cool about it, is that when I realized that I had grown up, gone to their schools in elementary, had put all that information in, there was some information, as I think I talked about, value tagging information. If this information doesn't have any future use, like a calculator, if you've ever seen Memory Plus, put that thing in Memory Plus because this little piece of information, which is part of a puzzle, this is sort of how I was running sort of a dual, we multitask when you realize you're in sort of a vampiric energy zone that's distorted. You're wanting to have fun to keep your energy up everywhere that you go because you know that you're not held captive because you've mastered your energy field and you know how this works. So you know you're in a spiritual war. So you're always navigating your state of consciousness through to be with the energies that you're always wanting to be with, which for me is to be with the goddess all the time, right? But at the same time, you're sort of held captive, but we do this as, how do I put this? We do it voluntarily, okay? Because we know that we can go back and forth between densities, if you will, density experiences, based on the speed that we're adjusting. So it's like we're adjusting our own accelerator through the vortex of our heart, powering the neurotransmitters in both sides of the avatar, okay? So we realize with the antennas we got, we can read the energetic environment, and when you have such a strong empathic component, which is so much love in your heart, which is forever, you're absorbing energy everywhere you go, which is all the density consciousness of the experiences that everybody's having that we read. So you become like an alchemizer everywhere you're going because you're wanting to clear that because we're trying to restore that which we know is the density we come from, which is like always wanting to go home. So what happens is when I left California and went to Hawaii, for example, in 72, everything that I was holding in my unconscious memory of all of my experiences that were put into my head that I was holding in memory, plus it came through everything I experienced from age 0 up to at that time would have been 22, which is through all their schools, other jobs that I'd had, all of a sudden just got memory wiped. It's gone. I wasn't even held captive to that which was in memory anymore. Instead, I'm experiencing all the high-frequency energies living on the island of Kauai because the energies are naturally higher there because the oxygen content around that island is higher. So you're naturally, when you're breathing in aloha, you are experiencing the higher energies naturally that you're breathing in. And when you are experiencing all of the higher vibrational nutrients that come from the volcanic rock of everything that's growing there, like pineapples and coconuts and guavas, passion fruits and all that, my God, you know, your eyeballs are clear. My mother said, my God, I've never seen your eyes look so crystal clear, okay? That's how it is over there. That's how it was in 72. So it's like, man, I'm living like a native. So your energy's off the charts. You're living in paradise. So the paradise is the perception, because the perception is the energy that you're experiencing. And that's what counts, is your experiences are teaching you how the energy works. So you're in a timeless state. So you're not held captive to that which, for those that live in fear, that if the reality changes, because now you got a memory wipe. So what happens is they're locked into the unconscious memory that they don't want to let go of, okay, out of fear. And this is where, because I've experienced this myself, okay, when you really begin to sort of be aware of the level of technology that they have knowledge of, because this is Star Wars level stuff, okay? When you get into synthetic biology, nanotechnology, xenobots, memory wipes, transferring consciousness, ripping souls out of body, making digital soulless clones, etc., you realize the level of technology, which is why when you came in here and I was reading through the manuals, it didn't take very long to figure out on a timeline how the evolution of technology would escalate. You could actually time it based on a period in which you knew that the information was going to escalate and the technology development that they were going to use with the microchip, nanotech, and all that. You actually already know that as a child, what's going to happen in the future that you're going to experience. And that's why I decided I don't want to be here to experience all this, because you already know. But so you know this is a spiritual war. So you're waiting for reinforcements to come, and they came, okay? But the emphasis that I wanted to share, which I feel is important, is the fear that people have of leaving the program, leaving the reality that they lived in, and they adapted to that environment and ran the program, which essentially means that their daily life, everything that they do essentially is a habit. We know that, okay? We all have certain habits. There are habits I have that I've still been trying to get rid of, okay? It took me a while. Smoking was probably the one big one that I had to get rid of. I ended up being diagnosed with emphysema. So I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, okay, because I love to smoke tobacco. So I didn't realize that, at first the damage I was doing to my lungs because of what was in the chemicals, which is radiation. It's what's in the cigarettes, okay? So I suffered the radiation effects from that, so I quit smoking. And that was one of the hardest things to ever do. So what we're talking about is habits, or the way that we operate off of things that are in memory that cause us to repeat what's in memory, those things that we do, which represents behavior, which essentially is looking in the mirror. What are we doing to ourselves? Are we doing things that best serve who we are? Because if we're doing things that best serve who we are energetically, then if our energy is going up because we're in a state of love and joy and we're healthy and happy, then that's going to be reflected by how others see us in that state, which is a higher energetic state. How do you do that? Boy, your energy feels good. Next thing you know, you're a powerful magnet, particularly when you're living through your heart. So the difficulties, and I realize the challenge that people are going to have, because it's one of the things that I measure everywhere I go, just in the conversations that I have with so many different people on different age group levels of where they're at in terms of how do I put this, hardwired they are to the programmed reality, their state of consciousness, of the energy that they're using in density, if you will, to experience who they are in relation to the interface they have with everything else that is aware of itself. Okay, so this is like everybody's aware of everybody else that is aware. So people are running different levels of density consciousness based on the speed at which they're running, which can be attributed between no memory and unconscious memory. Because everybody's experiences are all going to be different, because we all grew up in different families, in different neighborhoods, in different states, different countries, and different galaxies. Because I'm very aware of all the different beings that are here on this planet, most of which are not from here. They're not native. This spirit, the one that's in this physical body that's talking to you, I'm native. I'm in an avatar that's created by the girl on the planet. Okay, so this is our home world. I know that. Because as soon as I came out of my mother's womb, she was a powerful magnet. It's like, I'm with you. Okay, so I know the girl on the planet. She's my spiritual mother. She's my spiritual sanctuary. So I'm always talking to her, okay? So, and that's for us that are native to this planet, because we understand what is going on around here and why it's happening the way that it is, okay? And that's one of the reasons why she prompted me to share certain things that are important, because she knows my heart. She knows how much love I have in my heart. I could cry on this phone for 30 minutes in front of every one of you, because I realize what happened here. Because first and foremost, I'm a student, but I'm also a teacher. So imagine how you feel if you're a teacher and you lose 80% of your students as a result of things that were beyond their control and yours as a teacher. Because of demons, evil. That's extremely painful on a level you can't even imagine. Particularly when you have an enormous amount of empathy for everything that's here. So we're collecting all the data. So I'm very aware of what happened here. The level of damage that took place as a result of that programming. Trauma-based mind control is very powerful. It holds people in a lower density consciousness as a result of being able to get back into their heart again and feel the love and the higher speed vibration and what it feels like to free themselves and feel that energy again that will heal them. Okay, I'll just give you another example. Okay, when I was younger, when you sort of know that you're running on infinite energy, you're not afraid of anything. You're fearless, because you know you're an eternal living spiritual being. And so what ends up happening is that when you've never experienced anything you've never experienced before, and somebody introduces you to something you've never done before, yeah, what is that? Have you ever had it before? What's it going to do to you? You don't live in any fear of anything, okay? But there are some things when your intuition tells you, because you could see the future result of what might happen if you do that. When somebody handed me a cigarette, for instance, and said, hey, this is marijuana. Try this. This is cool. So they're selling it like another carnival barker. So I tried it and I thought, wow, I'm experiencing the plant. This is cool. It puts you in a state in which you're sort of, we used to call it being mellowed out, right? And so the next thing you know is that I ended up becoming addicted to drugs. So I realized that I had to get off this stuff. It was controlling me. I can't let anything control me. So now you begin to realize why the CIA flooded America with drugs. So I was able to know in real time, because now I've got my looking glass working for me, and I realized that the future that we're experiencing now to basically fracture and collapse America, okay, for all the reasons of the above, and I saw that in 1967 in my mind. I could see the pictures pictures of what we're experiencing now, I was experiencing in 1967, 68. So I realized that in order to get off this crap, I needed to go where love was. So I hung out with some people in Chino, California, where there was an enormous amount of love. Get your energy back. Get your spirit back. Now you're backward. You're a powerful spirit in the light again. Now you're not being held captive by that. Okay? So I got off all that crap. I realized I get high on higher energies, like goddess energy. So I know where my home is, where I belong. Okay? So I had to get back to that. So I thought, man, that was a bad experiment. That was a bad experiment. Okay? But, you know, the amount of fire that I have within us, okay, is so powerful, you'll burn your way back to burn that light again. Keep that thing going. So this is what happens when you're in here. It's a bumpy ride. You know what I'm saying? Those are the waves. Man, low waves, fast waves, low waves, like a yo-yo. So that's what you learn how to master, is you're mastering with an avatar, which is the advantage of an avatar, is being able to read and navigate the energetic environments that you're in, because you got a compass bearing, right? You got a compass bearing. You know what you are, your original identity. You are what love is in living spirit. So this is where implicit trust and living in no fear really are coupled together. Because you have to trust by knowing what it is that you are and the power of what love is as the most powerful magic that created the cosmos. Because once you ever doubt that that's true, fear sets in. And when fear sets in, you just drop your density. You just drop your vibration. Okay? And that allows us to be held captive to things that will now feed on us as energy, a source of energy, a source of food. Okay? So I don't feed vampires and I don't feed parasites. Okay? Because I know that as long as they maintain vibrational perception with us, I will continue to be a source of energy for that which is parasitic. And I don't want to feed a parasite to prevent me from going to higher density. So you burn off all that stuff that represents what it is in order to raise the vibrational energy of what we are, and we remember that that which is fear, we will give more love back. Because we understand this is a separation between higher density and lower density. Okay, so that's what it means for class dismissed. How many did we graduate? How many are running a love vibration? To be able to shift, right? So that's why this is so painful for me right now, because how many did we graduate? How many can we get up there? That's why there's so much light in here. Okay? Is to assist us by bringing in more light. There's a new sun. I figure most everybody knows that, right? That's a 6 Stargate female Merkaba. Merkaba. Spirit light body. Or light spirit body. Merkaba. I don't have any pictures to show you, but you could see the Merkaba shape. When you look up there, it's just sort of round, glowing sun, but it's white. There's a difference between that sun and the previous one, right? So you're thinking, man, they changed out the sun? Wow. So that means the sun is free energy. And then somebody wanted us to get higher energy. Putting a female Merkaba in there? Wow. You sort of get the picture on the real power players that are on our side. Okay? And why they're here and why they did that. Which means we're moving out of the last world that ended and we're moving into a higher density, higher consciousness realm, because the last world ended and this is the 5th one. So anyway, I'm done for the day. I'm concerned, I guess, more than anything else, because I know how challenging this is going to be for a lot of folks. It's like saying, and I run into it a lot every day. They don't want to let go. They are in absolute terror, to be honest with you, because they know that the rate of change that is taking place is accelerating. And instead of realizing that, hey, we're going in the right direction, they're wanting to go into deeper density, which means it's increasing their fear instead of lessening their fear, to feel more love and understand that we got this. That's why I'm doing this. Okay? is to try and lessen the fears. Okay? The light oneness. Okay? I knew this as a child. Okay? Now that's easy for me to say because I know these things. And I realize how difficult it is if you don't experience that yourself. And I understand why that is. Because we're aware of why that is, because of what happened here, because we're native to the planet. This is what happened to our home world. Okay? So it's not like this is news to us. Okay? We have a communication relationship with the great living spirit of Mother Earth. Okay? So we know why she's doing what she's doing and why things are changing the way they're changing. When Patty Broussard told me that she took the gloves off, that's ringing the bell. She's done with these folks. Okay? So that's why when a goddess chooses to take the gloves off, you can better well bet you go to war against the goddess, you lose. Okay? So I'm reminding them of that all the time. And they know that, but they're not ever going to be convinced of that. And the reason for that is because they're fear-based. And I'm not talking about beings that have suffered trauma that live in a state of fear. I'm talking about a true reptilian. Okay? A full-blooded unit. Okay? And the Archons. Okay? The tall whites, the Nazis, those folks. Okay? It's like being in a state of mind in which you're not ever going to be able to convince something in which it's impossible to run a love frequency, even though I believe that's not impossible. I believe everything's possible with love. But imagine that you have an Energizer Bunny without an off switch. The only thing that it knows how to do, because it's a rule-based function unit that continually accumulates energy and doesn't know how to do anything else than that, and actually believes in its own mind that the only way that it can survive is by doing the things that it does, which are forbidden and evil on a scale that most people can't believe. Okay? Because they love their density, which is very heavy density. So they see it through the lens of the more evil they are, the more they want to be what that is that's dense. Know what I'm saying? That's who they are. So that requires light warriors and light workers to come in here and bring an enormous amount of light here and make sure that these guys don't escape. Okay? Otherwise, they wreak havoc wherever they go, don't they? So look what they did here. That's why Laniakea is under operational security, right? Right. Now, I know that, so all I can say in the end is that this is good news. We're heading in the right direction, and tapping into your heart and doing those things that give you the greatest happiness and joy is the most important thing that I can consider right now to share with you, because this is the liberation of a planet, is really what it boils down to. And when you've already been on the other side of it, because you can experience something that represents what love is, an eternal living spirit, and you know that's who you are and what you experience, then you already know how this, why we're where we're at right now and where we're headed. And I understand that it's easy for me to say because that's what I experience, and others don't experience that because we have so many different beings that are here. So for what it's worth, if anything that I put up has value for you, has helped you to feel higher energy and spirit in your own heart, then great. I'm happy for that, okay? Because for me, I'm used to being in a place where everybody's in a state of love and joy. They're having as much fun as possible because what I'm used to is being able to go wherever I go and everybody's happy. Everybody's in a state of love. You don't experience any suffering. You don't experience anything less than what love is wherever you go. Imagine living in a reality like that. They're there. Those are the heavenly realms. And getting there is just a matter of losing the heavier density by raising the speed of who you are and doing the inner work. And the breathing work you do with your heart and your lungs will help you get there. That's just one way to do it. You can always adjust your speed through your heart and lungs. Anyway, have a great day. Love you all. Be good to yourselves.